Hey everyone, this is Brett Ledbetter. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. Our goal here is to try and create a useful resource for you. And as we try and figure out our structure, we appreciate any feedback that you have. This episode is for your leadership council, and we've divided it into two parts. The first part is going to be an interview that we did with our class with Blake Hinson, former Pittsburgh basketball player. Blake was a first-team All-ACC pick and an unbelievable leader who had to lead underclassmen if the team was going to reach its potential. And he goes through that along with his G League journey to the NBA. Second part of the episode, we've had requests to hear what it's like to do a live presentation with a team. So we're going to take you back to late August, 2 weeks into training camp with the football team. A coach challenged the leadership council to bring 3 questions. The 3 questions asked are questions that every team can relate to. And they asked me those questions in front of the team, and I facilitated a discussion based on that. Important to note, I did not have the questions prior to the meeting, and the team, this was my very first interaction with them. If you want more information on where that starts, check the description of the episode. At the end of the episode, I'll walk you through how you can use each segment of the podcast with your leadership council. If you think they could benefit from hearing other athletes who are going through similar things as them. And as always, your thoughts are appreciated. So leave a comment on how this helped or what questions you may have. That helps us know that you all are listening out there. Let's jump into Blake. Hope you all enjoy. All right, Blake, we're starting right here, man. Anytime we would work together in college, I would have you give me a number between 1 and 365, completely spontaneous, and that's what would set the frame of our discussion. So we're going to do that today. What's your number, big dog?
I'm going to do 26.
26 it is. So the question we're starting with is, if everyone is going through something in life, what are you going through?
I'm going through feeling like I'm falling short. Not necessarily falling short in a bad way, but I had an NBA contract to start the year. It was taken away, and now I'm in the G League, and I'm watching others around me pass me up, and I'm in hunt to get back to that NBA contract.
Hey, and if you think about the G League experience, what are the 3 best lessons the G League has taught you?
Life isn't fair. You play people every night that have done amazing things in the league, and they're still not there for whatever reason. I would say too is life is inconsistent. We just talked about. I just had a fantastic game, fantastic night. Went to sleep really feeling like I was gonna get my ball rolling in this league, and I don't start the next game after having career numbers in multiple categories. But still having to bring the correct energy, the professional energy to go out there and perform. Um, I guess number three would be it's still bringing that joy because at the end of the day, you have to be professional in whatever is going on.
Hey, I think about you when you were at Pitt and knowing what you thought about the NBA versus what it actually is. What's the biggest difference?
Two biggest things. The you have to be more than a basketball player. You have to be an elite athlete. You have to be an elite athlete. There's times early in this season where there was opportunities in front of me that I didn't take advantage of because I wasn't the best athlete I could be.
What are those?
First of all, being in shape. First of all, being in shape. There's times there's a reason why these players score these high amount of points in these games because there's a lot of time in these games. So that's number one. And two, just thinking the game, like everybody's a great athlete. Everybody, and sometimes you play those people who are really conditioned, and you got to outthink them because you're not going to out athlete them. This is not going to happen.
What would you have changed in college knowing what you know now? Because you were pretty disciplined your last year. What would you have done to take it to the next level?
Just I think towards the end of the season, um, I think this happens a lot. I got some success, and I didn't just stop, but I didn't press forward. I didn't try nothing else. I felt like, okay, what I did at a college level got me these records and a lot of these wins and this notoriety, and I got paid a good amount. but I didn't find something else to even set that up. I felt like this is the platform, this is the formula, and I'll be good for the rest of my life. So that wasn't the truth. So just keep digging.
How would you have framed that to you in a way that you would have heard it in that present moment?
I mean, honestly, people were telling me like this is a different level. Like you're gonna step up your training, you're gonna step up the way you think, but you don't know until you know. You don't know until you're out there with Isaiah Thomas, who comes back from sitting on the couch and drops 40, his first game in the G League. Like it's different. Like people are different. It's a different level. So you don't know until you know. So I would say the way I would say is this is a different level, which I was told. But of course, as an athlete who's good, you think I got this.
And you had a weed problem early on in your college career. Can you speak to that?
I don't smoke at all now, but is there an issue with it? No, I don't really see there's an issue with it. There's an issue with overusing it. And that's what I was doing. It was consuming all my time. Instead of going home and thinking about how I'm gonna be productive and upgrade my life, I would spend before I know it, I'll be smoking so much weed and then going to sleep and then restarting the day. Like that's just not life. If you want to be successful, that's just not life, man. You got to use your time better. And if you really just look back, if you do smoke weed and you feel like you overuse it, just really sit back and just watch yourself for a day and watch how much of your life when you're up is consumed by finding weed, rolling up weed, smoking weed, relaxing after weed, can't really do nothing afterwards. Just look at it and count the minutes, count the hours.
It's beautiful because if you go in the hotel rooms where the visiting team stays, you can tell which hallway they're staying on because it's just boom. How do you, with the understanding of that, understand, okay, that's not for me. But when you have people you look up to trying to pull you in, have the inner strength to say, I'm good.
Honestly, it's a little different for me because I ran into some medical issues due to the weed smoking. So it was really a life or death situation for me. But I think that's relevant to everybody else because you know if it's hindering your performance, not necessarily the weed itself, but just like I said, the utilization of your time while you're smoking weed. There could be other things you could be doing. You could be at the gym. You could be, I don't know, reading a book. You could be doing anything. Maybe grades is the issue. You could be doing that. So it might be a life or death decision for you as well, just not medically. So just you know what I mean? Just you have to look at it like that because at the end of the day, when you leave college or wherever you're at, and it's time for people to get paid, if you spent too much time smoking weed, you're gonna really hate yourself for that.
It's so true. Hey, and I think about what you just said. And when you are putting numbers up and you are in the last year of your college career, it's challenging because you're getting so much affirmation. What I'd like you to try and do is compare that to the summer league experience. When you're in that training camp getting ready for summer league, there is no motivation necessary from the coaches. All the players are locked all the way in. And if the stars of the league had the summer league mindset, they would take their game to another level. How do you think about all that?
That's funny. It's funny you say that because I think about that as well, and I think you just have to realize, man, there's a lot of money on the line, and there's people that would never happen for the stars of the league because they already have the money, right? And deservingly so, right? But there's people in this summer league who are either on rookie contracts, which is a good amount of money, but there's also a lot of more money to be had, and there's people with no money who is trying to get in these positions. So the intensity of it is so serious that you have to just take into consideration, like, that's how everybody should be playing, just like you said.
Why don't the stars all play like that?
Man, it's hard. Man, it's hard. It's hard to be successful and be honestly straight because I mean, a lot of us get motivation from wanting to uh upgrade our lives. Some of these players, especially our best players in life, are fully upgraded.
You would think that is the definition of success. Yet, I would bet 97% of the league would be riddled with anxiety. How do you explain both of those?
Yeah, because once you get drafted, every year there's a wave of new players that are coming to replace you. Like, as soon as they've signed you, they're searching for your replacement. And that's not me, that's Cam Newton who says that, and there's no better person to say that than the MVP of the NFL. As soon as they sign you, they're looking for your replacement. So, yes, resourceful as far as your resources and things, yes, you are straight, but you have to understand as they might love you, but what they will also love is a better version of you, and it's their job to hunt for that. So that's where the anxiety comes from.
So this is Rick Ross. This is probably one of the realest things I've ever heard, and I just want you to tell me what goes through your mind when you hear this.
They gotta want to win more than you. The coach can't want the player to win more than the player do. This shit ain't gonna happen. And that was something nobody never taught me. That was something I had to learn on my own.
Thoughts on that?
True, I mean, we've all heard it, and it's true because at the end of the day, that nobody it's on you, and it's never is especially for basketball players, it's never more obvious until you get into this pro space because everything is on you. How many rebounds you get is on you. How many points you get is on you. And we very rarely call plays over here. So if you don't go score, you really can't throw your hands up at the coach or nothing like that. You can't say he's not letting me play. You're all pros. You're here to play. So if you're looking for somebody to push you in this space, this pro space, you're gonna fall by the wayside easily.
How old were you when you learned that lesson?
I learned that lesson probably honestly later than you would probably think. I probably learned that lesson my first year at Pitt. Jeff Capel is he's a great coach for a lot of reasons because he gives you the freedom. He won't tell you what to do. He'll just say prepare for what you want to do and do it. But if you don't do it, you can't play. And it's it's just like clear. He's not gonna want it for you. He's gonna take you out. So I mean, once I got that type of coaching, I realized like, yeah, I got to get my craft together and really just press it upon everybody.
And one of the things that was respecting about you from everyone inside the Pitt world was you're a senior. And for that team
So,
to do well, two freshmen had to do. It was a very young team and they had to do well. What did you learn about the process of leading younger players and wanting their development to accelerate quicker than maybe is possible, but being okay that it's not?
just seeing the bigger picture. I think I was in that situation when I was younger, and my senior, who was very talented, super talented, he didn't because we weren't ready just about yet to help him. The way he needed us to help, he just took all opportunity away from us. He very rarely gave us the ball. He was very much not a good person to us off the floor, and I just wanted to do the exact opposite, and give them the opportunity to compete on the same level as me because I want to actually win, not personally, but as a team. Because I understand when you win as a team, your personal accolades just go even more through the roof. And sure enough, that's what happened.
And just to put this in perspective, they were 1-5 in ACC play. So it's very rare at that point in the season to turn it completely around. What allowed for you all to do that?
Allowing is a good word. Allowing those guys to figure out their way, not trying to impede your will on them, how you want things to be done. These guys are their own people. There might be their own young people, but allowing them to figure out their way. And once they felt that I was giving them the freedom, the respect they gave back was awesome. They allowed me to lead, and we got it done. We all got on the same page.
What is the difference between sonning someone and big
Man,
brothering someone?
it's a small difference. It's not a big difference. It's a small difference, and I think the biggest difference is allowing them to do it under their own will. When you're sunning them, you're forcing them to do things. Maybe I just bully you or I push you, or I might physically hurt you or harm you to get you to do what I want you to do. That's me stunning you. Me being a big brother to you or being a role model to you would be me guiding you in that direction or guiding the horse to the water, but not making them drink it. Just letting you know, like, this is what's going to make you and us successful if you really care. If you really care about me, I really care about you. This is what you need to do. And waiting for that to happen. When we're 1-5, trust me, it wasn't necessarily just happening just yet, but just allowing them to say, whatever you're ready, we going to do it. And that's what happened, but you gotta have them gain that trust first.
How were you able to manage your own anxiety when it's not going as fast as maybe you wanted it to?
Man, just taking it personal. I didn't want to point fingers. I think that was the best way to do it because it made me feel like I was in control, even though I knew for a fact that there was other things that needed to happen. But I just put that in their hands. Just like I said, y'all didn't get here by for no reason. You guys are good players. Figure out how you can be as close as perfect as possible. So when they do get that flip switch, everything works because it's gonna really suck if they get they flip switch, they switch flip, and then you're not prepared. Now it's gonna be like, so what am I doing? Why am I listening to you? You're not ready. So that's why I really stayed sane, just making sure I was ready.
So beautiful, man. And it's February 13th, February 12th. You could go back and look at it. The Oklahoma City Thunder beat the Miami Heat, and they went on a 24-0 run. Now, here's what's interesting about that. One, the Thunder have been down double digits 3 times this year at halftime. They've won every single game, which shows that they are great at taking punches, letting them wear down, and then throwing their punches. They started the fourth quarter last night on a 24-0 run. When SportsCenter showed that, what did they show? All 24 points being scored with a ticker in the top corner. Guess what they did not show? All of the defensive stops that allowed them to do that. That, in a nutshell, for young players is the challenge, that you get so much affirmation for scoring, and NBA teams are not looking for scorers. They're looking for elite specialists who can guard. Can you speak to that?
Yes, I think it's most relevant. I don't really like using myself as example, but since I'm the one talking, I'm going to use myself. My scoring was, if I do say so myself, was unbelievable in college, especially my last year. Right? If you don't believe me, you can look. It was unbelievable, right? It was shocking how much they didn't care when I got here. Like it was cute. It was like, oh, you scored well in college, huh? Like, that's not what's gonna get you on this court. Matter of fact, stop even thinking about shooting. It will be clear and obvious when you need to shoot, when you're wide open. So if you're not a lottery pick, if you're not a lottery pick, if you're listening to this and you are a lottery pick, shut it off. I'm not talking to you. If you're not a lottery pick, you need to figure out how you're gonna fit in with a team. And the number one way you're gonna fit in with a team is you're gonna get thrown on the best player, and your effort not only has to be there, but the execution has to be there. If you don't stop them, you're coming out and you're gonna lose your job. So just keep that in mind when you're putting up these stats, and it's a two-sided sword because I already know to get here you have to put up numbers, which the system is kind of flawed when it comes to that. But just understand, once you put those numbers up and you get here, the number one thing is defense. I'm telling you.
How would that have changed your approach if you fully understood that while you were in college?
The only thing I'd change is I'd just been in better shape. The amount of shape you have to be to guard Jason Tatum, or for example, my first day in practice with the Warriors, I had to guard Curry. The amount of shape you have to be in to guard Curry is no joke. I mean, it's the same thing as running a 5K or something. Like seriously, like
Okay, so let's stop. The practice ends. You've just guarded Steph. You're leaving, you're getting into your car to be by yourself. What are you thinking about the experience you just had?
if I'm being honest, I'm like I'm not ready. I'm not ready, and I just got cut from the Lakers. So I'm a little bit like with a chip on my shoulder, like, man, that's my spot. That should have been me. I don't know why they cut me. But after guarding him, you think to yourself in the back of your head, like, I'm not ready to be out there just yet. I mean, and a lot of it was conditioning. But if it's not conditioning for you, then you have to figure out what it is for yourself and do it. But conditioning is heavy when you got to guard the best guy. It just is.
What I hear when I hear you say that is you are able to tell yourself the truth and hear yourself saying it when a lot of people could lie to themselves. What do you think allowed for you to tell yourself the truth?
I think I've been telling myself the truth for a good amount of time now, and I've it's the quickest way to realize. It's the quickest way to get better. Just being vulnerable and being honest, and telling yourself the truth, but also tell other people the truth. Like and this is not a joke, and I really highly suggest if you don't take anything from this, please take this. Be vulnerable and in the things you can't do. Don't be insecure because that's where you get all the help from. If I tell somebody who's here at practice, like, man, I really cannot use my left hand. I suck with it. Do not try to act like you're the best player who ever played because we know you're not. Or don't try, even if it's something mentally, like, man, I struggle mentally. Like, you know what? People call me fat all the time. And I used to hide that because it was an insecurity of mine until I ain't started getting results until I started being open about it. Telling people like, man, it really hurts me to look at that scale because people have been calling me fat for so long. It's hard for me to look at that scale and then stay consistent. And I found the strength conditioning coach like, okay, we won't get on the scale, but you don't got to look at the number. I won't let you look at the number. And it helps. Just be open in the things that you're insecure about. And that's where you're going to get the help from. You're not going to get the help from holding inside. The answers aren't here. Obviously, you don't have them.
Hey, so you have younger teammates, and you can see this so clearly that when someone is acting insecure and they're hiding the truth from themselves, even though they know it's there, what is your approach with that person to help reveal it's okay to see the truth so we can work at the truth together?
There's two things I do. The first thing I do, I just put it out in the open. Like if I see you're scared to put it out in the open, I just throw it out in the open.
And
You
what
might
does
think
that
I'm an
sound
a-hole
like?
for it. I wait for it. I'll wait to bring it up in the locker room for everybody. Yes, it sounds like an a-hole move, but I will see how you react under that situation, and I will see how much development you need with that area. Like if you totally flip out about it, you know what I mean? Then I'll pipe down. I won't say anything else. But I might text you later, like, I didn't say that from a bad place, you know what I mean? Or whatever. Or I just pull you to the side and just tell you, like, you know what I mean? I have issues with this as well. You know what I mean? Someone will light up once they realize, oh, we go through the same thing. So yeah, if you notice it and you want to help as a leader, then that's what I would do. Maybe you don't want to go the a-hole route, you know what I mean? That's only for certain personalities, if I'm being honest. But just call it out, man. Just call it out and then you're gonna see it.
When was the first time you realized how powerful that was?
Doing it myself. Doing it myself and
When was
actually
the first time that you did that?
let's see. I think the first time that I did it was with probably my coach JC. You know, now that I think about it, first time I've honestly just practiced it in real life scenarios with, and I told him like, man, like I'm really insecure when people call me fat. Like at one day they called me fat. Where I worked so freaking hard to get this weight off, and I got it off, but I didn't do it right. I
And
was just not
how
eating.
much weight did you lose, just for context?
Let's say anywhere between 25 and 30 pounds. Like I lost a good amount of weight, but honestly, it was bound to come back because I was just not eating, right? Anyway, so the boosters and stuff were hype. Look at Blake skinny now, woohoo, yeah, cool. So I come back the beginning of the season, I gained the weight back, pretty much all of it, right? Because we're practicing now, have to eat, I gained it back. First thing that comes back is whispers like, how much weight has he gained? The next day I spent out over there. I don't like studying out on campus. I'm out in the middle of the little area with the trees and stuff, just sitting, laying in the sun because it bothered me so much mentally. Like, why can't I get my weight together? And it was hurting me to the point where I told JC. And I felt like I wasn't alone because JC said I used to go through the same thing. If I didn't tell JC that, I'd have been feeling alone. I probably would have spiraled and just ate 4 packs of donuts every day, just F them. But having one of the coach I'm closest to, I didn't even realize went through the same thing as me. If I didn't say anything, then we wouldn't have never had that bond connection to work through it. So, and then that ended up leading to him getting me a trainer and all types of other stuff. And I ended up, losing a good amount of weight after that too. So just say something.
Think about Blake. His teammates rave about his confidence. His vulnerability is interpreted as strength by his teammates. Most people think it's exactly the opposite. And that's what you're about to see as we dive into a live session with the football team. For privacy purposes, certain identifying details were bleeped out. As I mentioned earlier, the Leadership Council brought 3 questions to ask me. Those were, how can you remain team-orientated? When you're personally not reaching your goals, but the team is winning and doing well? What traits do teams that have talent and underachieve have versus teams that have less talent and overachieve? And lastly, how do you build trust with a teammate that has selfish motives? Let's jump into the first question so you can see how I use a question-based approach to maximize the intellectual capacity of the room.
My question is, how can you remain team orientated when you're personally not reaching your goals, but the team is winning and doing well?
Question for you. What was your name?
Eli, sorry.
Eli, I'm going to stay with you. So I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions, and then hopefully this will spur thought. So everyone that's listening, I'm going to challenge you all to answer the questions that I'm asking Eli. Eli, when has that happened in your career?
I would say probably my sophomore year here. We were doing well, but I wasn't necessarily doing as good as I thought I could be doing.
What were the thoughts you were having when you lay at bed at night, right before you fall asleep, your mind's racing and you're talking negative? What is it saying?
More like self-doubt, as if like I'm not good enough, or I'm capable of this thing, but I'm not doing it. So I'm, trash or bad in a sense.
How long did you stay in that space?
Probably a couple days, if that.
And what allowed you to pull yourself away from that?
The people I hung around with and just the daily interactions with people, and also like getting 1% better every day and seeing my goals reach.
Who was the most valuable teammate for you during that time?
My family.
Okay, so let's say someone has a broken home, not a lot of support. I want you to think about internally your teammates that were there for you. Who was the most valuable teammate for you personally during that time?
I would say Daniel.
And is he in the room right now?
Yes.
Okay. What was the most impactful thing that he said to you when you were in that space?
Just basically that I was chosen. I was selected to be here for a reason.
And did you believe him when he said that?
Yes, sir.
And why did you believe him? Because here's my question for you. You're saying to yourself in your weak moments, I'm not good enough. And then you have someone that's a teammate saying you were chosen to be here. Why did you place more value in what he was saying to you versus what you were saying to you?
Probably because he probably seen a bigger picture than I did. I was more meticulous in that certain moment than the bigger picture.
Can I bring Daniel up? You look at Eli and you see him, there's certain symptoms. What made you realize he needed support? What was he doing?
He honestly just asked me, like, am I not doing good? Am I messing up? Why am I not performing as good as I am today? Like, pretty much was just those questions.
Is he the first teammate to ask you about that stuff?
At that time, yes.
And when he asked you, what were the thoughts that were going through your mind?
One, that he wasn't really performing bad. Like, I know his performance to himself, he has a high standard for himself, so I already knew that because we came in together as freshmen, so I pretty much know him at a deeper level. So pretty much just him asking that question just sparked it in my head just to try to get him out of that spot.
Have you been in a place where you could relate to him?
For sure.
When was that for you?
My redshirt freshman year, all my friends, he traveled, and they put me on scout team, and I didn't travel with the whole team. And when they put me on scout team, I didn't even play my position that I play now. They put me on the line, D tackle, DN, linebacker. And then the games that I did travel, I felt like I wasn't being taken care of. In one of the games, they put 2 chairs together for me as a bed. Didn't have room keys to myself, so I've been, yeah, that's probably one of them.
How did you get past that?
Talking to my parents, because at that point, like, I wanted to probably just quit football. I didn't think that I was good. But yeah, I talked to my parents, and they pretty much just reassured me that I got to college for a reason. I'm just as good as everyone else. I just have to put in the extra work. If they don't see it, then you just have to put in more work. And yeah,
What would have happened if you would have quit?
I'll be a plumber right now.
And you wouldn't be wearing that ice, man. This shows the power of empathy. When you can use your experiences and talk about your weaknesses in front of the team, it opens up avenues for other players who are experiencing the same thing. They can now come and talk to you. Let's hop into the second question.
How's it going, sir? Appreciate your time. I'm Taylor.
What's up, Taylor?
So the question I have for you is, having been around so many different athletes and levels of talent, what traits separated teams who had all the talent in the world and underachieved versus those who had less talent and overachieved?
If someone asks you that question, how would you answer?
The first thing that came to my mind when I thought of this question was selfishness.
Every team out there can say, hey, probably the thing that's going to get in the way of us, ego, selfishness, like everyone kind of knows that, right? Yet for whatever reason, they can't overcome that. Why?
I feel like being able to demonstrate selflessness, especially in a team setting, is demonstrating love and being able to love your brothers and your teammates.
And scale of 1 to 10, how good are you guys at that right now?
A 7, because I know we could be better.
And
But
if I said you can't go 7, would you go down or up?
I go down. I say 6.
Because
I think that we do have so much love for each other, but we don't demonstrate it as much as we could. And we shouldn't weigh our actions, whether it's not giving our all on the field or just not demonstrating love and daily interactions with one another.
why?
I honestly don't know.
Who's outstanding at that?
Another person in my room, his name is Zach. You know, he's out there. He's one of our best players in this team, but he holds other people to the same standard that he holds for himself and demonstrates that love on a daily basis with his actions.
All right, here's a great one for you, right? Here, I see a lot of teams that are fairly close, like they like each other, but they have a very difficult time confronting one another on the field. So they have really good relationships off the field, but they don't want to confront on the field because they don't want to disrupt the relationships off the field. Can you guys relate to that at all?
Yes.
So here's the challenge with that. If you truly have good relationships, you're not leveraging those to push one another. If you make that your competitive advantage and everyone's on the same page, think about how much better you could be, because you can only push someone as much as you love them. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So if you challenging them without the support, they're just going to think you're a dick. And if you support them without the challenge, they're just going to think you're soft. So how can you calibrate those two things to where it's like, shit, we got something going? You would say what?
I would say it's balance and egos, because a lot of it, like you said, that because we are buddy and we are brothers, a lot of us are afraid to check each other because we don't want to, like you said, hurt our off-field relationships. But a lot of that's been able to, if you're the one receiving the criticism, to be able to set your ego aside and understand what that person is telling you is not to hurt you, but to make you better.
Can we get real for a second? Who do you have a tough time checking?
Who do I have a tough time checking? I would say people that are other
I want you to get specific.
specific. All right. Who do I have a tough time checking? I would say my boy Reggie.
Bring Reggie up, and I want you to stay on screen too. Reggie, can you come up? Reggie, does it surprise you that Taylor called your name?
Yes and no. A little bit of both.
Give me the yes, give me the no.
It's surprising because from our relationship, we haven't had much of a filter with each other. So at least I know we've kind of just said what we've been thinking. But it's mostly been that way off of the field rather than on the field.
And so so that's the no. What's the yes? Why does it surprise you?
Because I would think that because he's an extremely team first guy. When I hosted him on his visit, it was one of the first things he said to me was that, and like he's repeated multiple times. He's like, I don't care like what my stats are as long as our team is winning and stuff like that. And so, and he also, when he first came here, he was very vocal when he first got here. And
Has that continued?
yeah, it has continued.
So let's break it down. Why is it tough to confront?
For me, on mine is because he is someone that since I've got here, I've gotten really close with, and he is my brother. And I know that, he's been here longer than me, and it's a sense of respect. I have a lot of respect for him. So for me, I mean, he doesn't make a lot of mistakes that like you would need to confront about. But in a situation like that, because of that, I almost see him, instead of seeing it as like an equal situation, like I understand, like, okay, like this is kind of a hierarchy. And so to me, it almost feels like I'm stepping out of my range, even though it's every time like that's my brother.
How do you hear that? I hear reverence, by the way. Like there's a high level of respect for you. And it's like, if you have the highest form of respect, you would want to be able to tell the truth in a moment's notice without fearing consequences. And the biggest fear that you would have with that confrontation would be what?
Affecting the off the field relationship, as you addressed earlier.
And if it's truly going to affect the off the field relationship, is the off the field relationship even as real as you think it is?
No, it's not.
How do y'all process that?
I completely agree with it. The best way to describe it is like how I was like raised within the sport was that like I'm not like getting on you as a person on the field. I'm getting on you as a player. So like how my dad always described it was like I'm not cursing out like Taylor. I'm cursing out the jersey he's wearing. And so that's always helped me leave what happens on the field on the field. And so like any confrontation I have on the field, the second I take the pads off and stuff like that, it's off my back. Like I see is it had to happen on the field, that it happened on the field. And now that we're back outside of the field, that the relationship between me and whoever it is isn't affected. Because I had a situation a lot like that in junior college, where one of the guys on our team, he thought that me and my brother had a problem with him because he was one of our starting players. He's one of our captains, and we would call him out consistently out on the field. We would call him out consistently on the field, and then we wouldn't bring it up ever outside the field.
Because why?
Because we never really thought to, because we saw it as we were calling him out to bring him up, when he saw it as we were calling him out to put him down.
Think about that, fellas. I want you to think about it. I've never seen you all practice. Can we agree?
Sure.
So let's say I came and watched you, and I watched you guys being able to tell the truth in a moment's notice. And I'm like, damn, they're like really coaching each other. And then as soon as practice ended, I watched two people coach each other hard, put their arm around each other, sweaty as hell. What would I think?
We love each other.
That is a high functioning relationship. This gives them a vision of what high functioning teams look and feel like, and they know it's within their reach. Confrontation phobia is real, and it destroys teams. If you have great relationships, you're not worried about reactions. Radical honesty can exist, and teammates respect the intent. That brings us into our last question that was asked by an offensive lineman. He asked,
so my question for you is, how do you build trust with a teammate who has selfish motives?
So I had him select a teammate that he thought was selfish, and we had a conversation in front of the team. Does it surprise you that you are called out?
Yeah.
And How does it feel like in this moment right now?
Honestly, it's pretty embarrassing, to be honest,
Because
because I don't feel like I view myself that way. And I feel like, I've been here 7 years and my number one goal is to bring a championship to, and I know I just have to keep getting better as a player to do so. And yeah.
here's what I see so often is when you are misunderstood, that can feel a certain type of way. So you've been there 7 years. You feel like your intent is pure and your actions are being interpreted in a way that you don't necessarily mean for them to be interpreted, correct?
Yes, sir.
What does it feel like to be misunderstood?
It sucks. It's not a good feeling.
Because the thought is, I've been here 7 years. I poured a lot of energy into this place. For someone to think that's a really tough feeling.
For sure.
What makes you think that?
I would just say going against him every day, it's like certain things that he can let get in his head, like whether that's going off sides or them not doing a stunt correctly, and then there's bickering between the D line. Like we feed off that. So when we see that, it's like, okay, they're fighting each other. They're not in the right mode. Let's go pounce on that. So it almost is like when that happens, that gives us an advantage, and him giving us an advantage just on the D line. Just on the D line, like it can put the secondary at disadvantage, his linebackers, his other D linemen he's arguing with, and it also like makes us want to like. It's almost like it builds us confidence knowing that they're like kind of tearing each other down. They might not see it that way, but that's how we see it on the offensive side.
Can I just ask the room, how many have noticed that? Show of hands. So how do you respond to that?
Are you asking me or Sanad?
You.
Yeah, I definitely think we have that issue, and I think like that's a big thing we need to work on is trust within the D line. We're trusting each other. And I'm included in that. I feel like everybody is all about them and like, hey, I want to get mine, even though, it's a D line. So we're going to rotate a lot. We're going to have 12 guys that are going to get serious playing time. So I think it's just a bunch of guys, including myself. I'm complicit with this as well, is like, hey, I want to get mine. And, I want to beat out the other guy rather than, hey, let's do this thing together.
How do you take the step from where the channel you're on right now to the other side? Let's do this together.
And you could say that, that's where I'm failing right now is, I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. I would like
Where's your starting point?
I'll say that, I would like just all of us to be friends. Let's go have a dinner together. Let's be boys. I feel like, there's like little cliques, like this guy and this guy are friends, this guy and this guy are friends, me and this guy are friends. I think I want us all to be friends for life, all be at each other's weddings and have that kind of relationship.
Hey, if the season ended today on a loss, okay, how many people would be at the weddings?
Like my wedding?
Just like, yeah, we could stay. Let's start there.
Maybe 2 or 3.
The story of this year's team is going to be that right there. I want to just challenge you to think about one thing, fellas, and we'll end with this. If I came in and like just started telling you all this stuff like that I've learned, you might listen 5 minutes. Think about the ground we've covered. And all I've done is ask you all questions. If you all learn how to ask one another instead of tell one another, the connections will grow exponentially because it's coming from a place of trying to understand. And I want to just show you this real quick. Can we just do this? Think about how hard it would be to be called out as selfish in front of the team. I want you to stand up if you think that that would be hard. These are your teammates that stand for you because what you just did is hard as hell. And I hope the room sees that and respects the hell out of it. They stand for you. Let's give them a hand real quick. Anytime I have a chance to positively reinforce the courage it takes to be vulnerable, I do. There's a feeling in the room when the entire team relates to and supports your truth. Here's how I think about using this with your team. In the description, there's a listening guide for both parts. Questions that your leadership council can think about and talk through with one another. If you want to single one question out from the live team sessions, the time codes are also inside the description, and you can have them listen to that one segment to discuss their thoughts. You could even divide the 3 questions into 3 different conversations with your leadership group. The best leadership council tool that we've developed, in my opinion, is hands down the new book, 365 Questions to Get to Know Yourself and Your Team Better. Each question serves as a prompt to initiate a meaningful conversation. If this is helpful, let us know, and we can continue to try to find ways to provide the value the best way we can. Thank you for listening.